Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Village of Broadview regular board meeting. We are located at 2600 South 13th Avenue at the Schroeder Park District. Mr. Clerk, can we get a roll call, please?
Yes, you can, Madam President. Trustee Ely.
Present.
Trustee Tierney.
Here.
Trustee Jones is absent. Mayor Thompson.
Here.
Trustee Horn.
Here.
Trustees Abraham and Brown Marino are absent. Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Mr.
Can
Clerk.
we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? May we all pause for a moment of silence. Thank you. We're going to go by item 2 and item 3. Mayor, we have no public comments this evening that was turned in. On to item 4, communications. First, we have the swearing in of 3 new firefighter paramedics, and the chief of the fire department is going to do the honors tonight, Chief Kinney.
Yeah. Your family members come up with you now. Yep, that's it. Okay, so he's going to start the line. He'll be kind of sideways all the way up.
Come up.
So you can block those 2 right there. That's okay. There's no one there. Good evening, everybody. That's the loudest it's ever been. First, I just want to say how proud I am when I look backwards and see everybody here to support our 3 new guys, and this has been a long time coming, since May. So we are full staff again. Is everybody ready? All right, raise your right hand. I state your name. Having been appointed to the office of firefighter paramedic in the Village of Broadview. Now you repeat it. Having been appointed to the office of firefighter paramedic in the Village of Broadview, County of Cook, State of Illinois, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and I will faithfully discharge the duties of the Broadview Fire Department according to my best ability. All right, congratulations.
Congratulations. Welcome to the team. Congratulations. Welcome to the team. Congratulations. Welcome to the team. Congratulations.
So family members, if you want, we're going to go back to the firehouse. We're going to take some pictures. So if you all want to head out to your cars, and we can let them resume their meeting.
Oh, you're welcome. Congratulations. Likewise.
She hasn't been here all this year.
They were you, Chief Kenny.
Thank you, Chief. Okay, next item on the agenda is a presentation from Kamaric School.
I always have to move this down.
Good evening.
We'll talk about a tough act to follow, but it's so great to see all that support. That was awesome. So we're here from Kamaric on a completely unrelated matter. We have on the April 2nd ballot a question for a building referendum. And I'm going to be really quick because I want to make sure that we honor the time and turn it over to my colleagues, Andy and George. Andy is who I call the finance guy, and George is our architect. But before I do that, I just want to talk about how the question came to be on the ballot. So 2 years ago, this is my 4th year in the role, 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago actually, we brought on Archon and we had him do a facility assessment because we had at that time what was listed to be $8 to $9 million in life safety work that we had to do at the building level, and that at the facility level, and that was a 10-year life safety plan. So throughout those 10 years, some of the work had been done prior to me getting there, but the big items were left because of lack of funding. So we studied for 3 years to try to figure out what can happen, because the building itself, I mean, there's a lot of not only life safety but a lot of health issues in the building. So after that process, I decided with the board to put a steering committee together to look at, okay, we know that we need to do work in the building. We know that there's significant work that needs to be done in the building. What's the best plan and really the most fiscally responsible plan for us to do that while ensuring that our students are safe in the facility? So the steering committee consisted of about 14 members. 4 members were from the Broadview community. We do serve at Kamaric. We serve a section of the Broadview community, and it's very important for us to get their feedback. So we tried to get as diverse group as possible on the steering committee, including parents who had kids in the building. We even talked to some students in the building, but then we also went to senior citizens, parents who never had, adults who never had kids in the building, and so on for the steering committee. After that, we decided to hire a group called M-Squared Communications because we wanted people in our communities to be able to talk to somebody without, I mean, as much as I like to say that, like, that I can be in a room and no one's gonna, like, it's just me, just tell me how you feel. We wanted to make sure that we really got to hear how people were really feeling. So we thought we'd bring in M-Squared as an outside group and really get to talk to people and show them the building, talk about the building, and get their input. So through that process, M-Squared led stakeholder interviews and community conversations. And it was at that moment in the community conversations where one of our original models or plans for the potential addressing the needs of the building, where the committee was really excited about, we stopped that because of the community conversations. We cut down the cost of the building, and we decided to completely revamp what we thought at the time was the best solution, the right solution, based on feedback. And then we had community forums, and I hope members got a little postcard in the mail. If you live in the Kamaric area, we sent postcards to every family about the community forums. I know from North Riverside residents that some of them didn't get the postcards. We found that out after the fact, so I'm hoping that the Broadview community did get the postcards. And those were we had 3 community forums. I think we had a total of 123 people that were able to connect to throughout all 3 of them. And then right now we're running building tours. We have scheduled building tours, and I know that George is going to talk a little bit more about those, but I just want to reiterate that, anybody in this room, if the scheduled tours don't work for your schedule, please just call me. I forgot my business cards, but I promise I'm going to drop some off tomorrow. Please just call me. We'll go on, personal tours, individual tours, group tours, whichever you're most comfortable, as well as we have financial open houses, and we have another financial open house on the 18th. And Andy's going to talk a little bit more about that, but that's a time where you can bring in your tax bill. And we can really sit through and talk with you about how this potential referendum would impact your taxes. I will say that through this process, we've also helped, and I can't promise this, but really through Andy's expertise, we've actually helped residents capture some tax credits that they weren't capturing in other areas. So it may be beneficial to come and see us. And then with that, I'm going to turn it over to George, who's going to really talk about more of the nitty-gritty of how we got to where we are and the project itself. I will share that this was originally an hour presentation, so we're trying to keep it at 15. So I know we're going to go fast, and George is going to be quicker than normal, but we do have packets out here as well as extra packets up there with more information for the audience that has hopefully everything you need to know. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Again, my name is George Amarakis with Archon Associates, the architect for the district. As architects, we like things big. So the packet next that you're gonna be looking at is this big 11 by 17 packet. And I know it looks big and 27 pages worth, but the good news is I'm skipping to page 14 to start this process. So the key part from pages 1 through 13, Brian touched upon, is really the history that we've been spending over the last few years with the district. Initially, we were tasked to look and analyze the guts of the building, the mechanical systems, the lighting, the roofs, the life safety work, the things that need to be repaired in proper maintenance for the existing the building on both sides of 13th Street. And as we developed those plans, the next challenge was, let's look at how the building is functioning and the challenges they're having for how they'd like to operate from a curriculum perspective. The original building was built way in the early 1900s, 1930s actually, and the main addition was done in 1956. Education has changed quite a bit since then. So on one hand, we're looking at how do we take this asset and keep it functioning. On the other hand is, how is it working for the type of education that they're trying to achieve today, right? And as we developed through the steering committee, the surveys, and those questionnaires that we were doing, we developed this plan. It becomes the list of, here's the guiding principles. Everything that we want to do, we want to check this plan to make sure it checks the boxes. From circulation in the building, safety, from the entrances, mechanical systems, again, was a big priority. Technology in the building. The idea of accessibility. If you were to go there and visit, you'd notice that the building is on two sides of a street. On one side of the street, it's like a split-level home, and there really doesn't have accessibility throughout. So if you're trying to get to multiple levels of that building, you can't get to them. So the school has to operate creatively to move classes around for the students that aren't able to get around the building in that half. They got to move those classes to areas of the building they can. From locations of classrooms, so if you've ever been to the building, the preschool is in actually a basement, and accessibility down to the preschool is difficult. There's no good shelter to lead students to there. There's no good no good visual cues for students to look out to see for supervision when people are coming to pick them up or leaving, and that classroom is kind of in a remote region of the facility. If you look at the other grade levels, they're spread between both sides of the building, and getting from a cafeteria to a library can take 7 to 10 minutes to get there. Imagine taking a third grader from one end all the way to the other to take them to the library and then bring them all the way back to class. You've eaten up about 15 to 20 minutes of time. So we started wanting to pick their brains and understand those types of needs, and we developed this list that you're seeing in front of you as those priorities that, as we look to redevelop the facility, what can we do? And what you're seeing on the right, that's red to green, was really options A through F of multiple iterations that we did. We wanted to make sure we exhausted every possibility and test those ideas with that steering committee, with the community, to make sure that we're meeting all the needs and we're creating the most fiscally responsible solution. And as you can see, as we get to option F, which is the one we settled on, it really checks up all those boxes. And that's kind of the solution that I'm going to present to you tonight. So if you flip a few more pages to page 18, that is where we get to our final solution. So as we looked to develop those needs, option F really looks at the building in two fronts. You have the building on the west half and the east half. The west half was a much later structure. It had the most cost-effective solution to renovate. The east half had the most challenges. So as we looked at the plan, what you're seeing here is the idea that we would leave the west building intact, and we would renovate all the classroom spaces to get them up to the curricular needs of today's standards. But on the east side of the building, we would take that down and we'd bring all those classroom functions that lived there to the west side. Now, what does that do? If we were to build an addition, a 2-story addition with a basement level on the west half, you would bring all the core academics to one building, one secure entrance so you can monitor who comes and goes from the building. All the classrooms are in close proximity to one another, so you're not traveling the entire site to get from one end to the other. There'd be an elevator on that side, so you have the accessibility solutions, and really it becomes a good way of zoning the building. Preschool comes to the first floor. They add an additional preschool place. Kindergarten is adjacent to it. That's up in the north end of that building. We have their own entrance, so preschool and kindergarten can be properly supervised for drop-off and pickup. And then you're getting first, second, and third and fourth grade all on the first floor. Easy to be able to supervise. They're all in close proximity to one another. And what's left on the east half? On the east half would be the gymnasium, the public community space. The idea that you could close that up, lock that air portion off from the rest of the building and use that for community functions at evening events. They don't have access to the rest of the building, but now you've opened up those opportunities to bring the community members to the building to use it in many different ways, right? The other thing that we learned from the community was traffic, congestion, coming down 13th Avenue, how traffic's circling around, how the teachers are parking on all the side streets because there really is no on-site parking. So we developed this plan to bring more 51 parking stalls onto the property. So, and they're right next to where that gymnasium is. So as you're doing those night functions, as you're bringing students and teachers on site, they can park directly on site and kind of minimize that traffic congestion on the those other streets around the building. The other thing that you'll notice on the plan is green and play spaces. We wanted to make sure we created safe and secure zones where instead of just having blacktop area outside the building, how can we create other unique play spaces that would bring students out? Green spaces, playground spaces, other usages of blacktop spaces that are directly tied to curriculum and really creating that safe and secure environments for the school. The unique thing that you're noticing in the middle on 13th Avenue would be the prospect of being able to take over that street and turn that into a sheltered outdoor play space as well. This is something that would be an ongoing thing that we'd develop. We did learn that there are a lot of lines that are running through the middle of that street from electrical, gas, storm, so we didn't want to build anything on it, but the idea that throughout the course of the day from 8 to 5, no one's supposed to be driving through that street, but after those hours you can't. Well, students don't really get that. You're used to just crossing, so it becomes a safety hazard after hours that people are still crossing the streets, so we wanted to minimize that. And how do you do that? By being able to put bollards and make a safe and secure green space for the school. On the second floor, if you were to look at, that becomes the middle school level. 5th through 8th grade are housed on the second floor, and we put them all together, again, solving that idea of circulation, condensing, bringing them all together. And now on that second floor area, who's seen the bridge that crosses 13th Avenue, right, between the two sides? Creating that link, we wanted to maximize. Instead of just being a circulation space, what can we put there? So we grew it and put the library there. So now all those core functions that we were talking about that were spread across both sides of the building are now more condensed and easy to get to for Comaric students. The last page that you'll see from the lower level plan is really how we address creating, using a basement and maximizing space. So in that lower level would be a lot of those elective spaces, family consumer science, art, STEM, and the lunch space. And all those are the kind of those down and dirty where you want to create, the wood shops, the spaces that you want to get active and lively. So we wanted to group all those functions together and have them kind of adjacent to where the cafeteria is. We'd be able to put clear story windows, bring natural light down to that area, and really kind of maximize the usage on that west side. So this plan was the solution that was derived from the community and the school district that became the most fiscally responsible solution to address all those needs I mentioned on page 14. And there's a lot more to them that's kind of homework assignments for everyone to read if you guys want to learn more about it. And really, this became the solution that we brought forth to you today. If you were to look at a numbers perspective, as we looked at the life safety and immediate maintenance needs, it equated to between $8 or $9 million. And if you project it out between the next 5 to 10 years of roofing repair, window repair, electrical LED needs, if you were to look at the building now, as I mentioned, it's different than it was years ago. If one classroom were to plug something in one room from one end, it would short circuit stuff in another classroom in the other. So it's trying to catch up the electrical systems that service the building up to meet the needs of the curriculum. And all those would equate for another $5 million. So we're talking about $17 to $18 million of maintenance needs over the next 10 to 20 years. The solution that we're looking at here that's going up for the referendum is $22 million that included all this new addition work, renovating the entire west building, pretty much putting the building up to almost a new construction cost to today's standards, which would get them another 30, 40, 50 years of life. That is really the gist of the designs. I'm turning it over to Andy to talk on the finance part.
Good evening, everyone. Just to give you a little bit of background, my name's Andy Arndt. I'm with Baird Public Finance, and we were enlisted by the school district about 1.5 years ago to join in the process of planning for the size of projects, the scope that they might be undertaking, and what that might cost. At one point, we even ran numbers to the tune of about $30 million to see what those impacts might be, and we helped in the process to massage those the size of the projects down to this $22 million number. So once we get to that number, what we have to do is we have to go through, and I'm going to start in this presentation here that each of you have in front of you. I'm going to start on page 4. I'm only going to go through a few of these slides in an effort to be respectful for your time. School districts are funded primarily through property taxes, and when those taxes come into the district, they're broken down into 2 types, basically the operating funds, and that's separate from any bonds that might be outstanding. And school districts can issue what we call limited bonds, which do not require voter approval, that they can issue from time to time, and then the other type would be voter-approved bonds. Anything to this magnitude of what they're trying to tackle in the way of projects would require voter approval. So we went through all of the revenue sources on the operating side, tried to find any ways that we could move money around within their current operating budget in order to find ways to reduce the size of this referendum question. And so if we skip to page 7 in this presentation, what you're going to be looking at is a breakdown of all of the funds available to the district. This would include the education fund, the building fund, transportation fund, and all of those things. Because you are a capped county and the school district has to operate within the tax caps, anytime we try to move money from one fund to another, you're going to have a shortfall somewhere else. So what we looked at was if we maximize the building fund, which is highlighted there in the middle of the page, we could essentially double the amount of levy that's coming in for building purposes. That would generate about $400,000 additional dollars that aren't currently coming in, but what that would do is take that $400,000 from somewhere else, and the largest pot to take that from would be the educational fund, which means pulling dollars out of the classroom in order to help build a new building. And also, if we were to use that $400,000 in order to finance the projects through some type of debt instrument, we would only be able to generate about $4 to $5 million. So that, again, falls very short of the needs that have been decided by the steering committee and the school board. So from there, we're going to jump to page 11. Right, that'd be $4 to $5 million that would be repaid over 20 years, which means for 20 years, that $400,000 or $500,000 that was moved out of education would not be available in education until the time that that $5 million that was borrowed was paid off. So really, it actually would hurt the educational part of the district in an effort to reduce the size of a voter-approved bond. We jump to page 11. The reason this is important is because any of the tools that the school district is making available to the taxpayers in the district are going to rely upon that person knowing what the county thinks their property is worth, not what that individual homeowner thinks that their property is worth, because those are going to be 2 different numbers. So for example, this yellow box here on page 11, has a small line highlighted in green. That would be the 2017 property value. That is what the county says your property is worth, and that is the number that you would need to know in order to make use of one of the next pages that I'm going to show you. But also on the school district website, there is a calculator built into the website where if you know this number and you know what exemptions apply to your home, you can go through and click the links and figure out what this actual impact is estimated to be for your property. And so it's going to be a great tool, but you have to know which number to start with in order to make use of that. And at the end, I will talk about a financial open house that we're going to have here in a couple of weeks, where we can help walk taxpayers through that process. But if we jump to the next page, page 12, this is a list of the estimated impacts for this $22 million bond issue for a variety of home values. So for example, if we look at the first home value, that would be a tax bill that states that the home is worth $150,000. The other important thing to understand about this page here is that this page does not take into account any exemptions that might apply to a home. So for example, most homeowners are probably going to get the homeowner's exemption. Some of them might qualify for the senior exemption. There are veterans exemptions and so forth. None of those are taken into account here, which means these should be the worst possible case for what these impacts would look like. Once a homeowner were to apply their exemptions, it should bring these values down, meaning the impact should be less than what's shown on this page. So for example, in the first year where the impacts would hit taxpayers, which would be during calendar year 2020, the impact annually would be about $210, which is about $18 a month. Each year after that, the impact would go up about $40 annually. And that is by design, because if we had the payments the same amount for 20 years, the impacts would be, I think, close to double or almost triple what they're shown here at the beginning. And then the large box in blue at the bottom half of the page, that is the amount of payments that would exist at the time the bonds are sold. But the plan up front would be that once we hit that 7th or 8th year of repayment, that the school district would then restructure those payments to stretch them out a little bit further to make sure the impacts don't climb to an unbearable level. And that also is by design, because as homeowners, we can take out a 30-year mortgage on our home, but as a school district, to take out $22 million in bonds, they're asked to repay that in 20 years, and it's just not feasible. So we want to use something that is a lot more realistic, which is probably going to be 25 to 30 years to repay the bonds, which will still be shorter than the useful life of the building that it's supporting. Now if we jump to page 14, this is just a quick comparison of the school district tax rates for some of the neighboring communities. And what we wanted to see is, where does Comark School District lie relative to some of the surrounding communities? And from here you can see that they're third from the lowest as far as the tax rate as it stands right now. And if this referendum were to pass, they would move up about 2 spots. And the tax rate would go from about $3.18 up to $3.66. So in comparing with the neighbors, it's not going to leapfrog the school district to the top of the list by any means. It's barely going to move the needle in that respect. And on page 15, which is the last page, we wanted to make sure everybody knows that on March 18th, we're going to have another financial open house from 4 to 7 p.m. There's going to be 2 locations. One will be at the school district office. The other will be at the, the North Riverside Public Library. They will be held at the same time, same date. We're going to have each area staffed with computers. So if members of the public would like to bring their tax bills in and ask specific questions, or any other questions they might have for that matter, they're welcome to come and use that time that we've made available for them. All right, and that's all that I had prepared. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Trustee Ely, you have any questions?
No, I have no questions for you.
Trustee Tierney?
No question.
Trustee Jones?
I got one question. You said that it would go up $40 a year annually.
Correct.
So you're talking about $960 at the end of the term.
Well, that's why after about 8 years, The plan would be to restructure those payments to make
Well,
sure
you
that.
didn't say that.
I did say that. If we look at page, let me look again. I think page 12. Yeah, on page 12, there's a portion of the page at the bottom where it's enclosed in a blue box. All of those payments would be scheduled to be repaid at the time the bonds are issued, but the plan would be that in about 8 years from when the bonds are sold, that the district would hope to restructure those payments, which essentially means to refinance them, to stretch them out a little bit further over time in order to prevent them from continuing to climb.
So what you're saying is this is not a 20-year issue, this may be a 28 or 30-year issue.
Correct.
I just want to make sure that everybody knows this is not limited to the 20 years, and that the impact is not going to be just $40 a month. Is that $40, is that respective to what the county's assessment of the property is, or is that a flat number?
That would be a flat number for that $150,000 home, and that is approximate. It would be $38 one year, $35 another. As the home value goes up, that impact would go up with the home
That's my
value.
point.
Right.
So the impact is going to go up when the home value goes up, and this is based on a $150,000 home.
Right.
And so if your home is valued at $200,000, the number's not going to be $40 a month. It's going to be 50, 55, whatever that number may be.
It's about $50, it looks like right now.
Exactly.
Right.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that I'm understanding exactly what you're talking about the financial impact annually to the residents, to the homeowners, to the property owners. Okay. What about the businesses? What is the impact to the businesses? You showed us the residential stuff. The question I got now is, as it relates to the businesses, that this would impact. Because the vast majority of the businesses that I'm concerned about in Broadview fall in the Comeric district. Most of our industrial park and our mall has a direct impact because of Comeric. So what is that going to do to those business taxes?
It will impact them similarly to the property values for homeowners.
So you're talking about the same percentages? Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
So I've got a $150,000 house. We're talking about $1.5 million business or $1.5 million property. So now that impact is now, instead of $40, it's $400.
It could be. I mean, I would have to look at it individually to know that to be true, but that is a fair assessment.
I think that's something that you guys should disclose.
Sure.
I think that you should say exactly what it would be to the businesses, especially on the Broadview side of this, because there's not, the percentage of students that go to Comeric and Broadview is minuscule compared to those from North Riverside. However, the funds that go to Comeric is not correlational. It's a huge impact to our businesses because that's what is a huge fund to the Comeric School District. So it's going to be a major issue as far as the businesses on our side of the coin are. They're already in Cook County. They're already taxed to the hilt. And to put an additional burden on them is just something that needs to be considered. That's all I got to say, Mayor.
Thank you, Trustee Jones. Trustee Horn?
Nothing, thank you.
Trustee Abraham?
I would have to agree with Trustee Jones on this, Mayor, just because I live in that area that will be impacted as a homeowner, and being there for the last 20 years, plus growing up in the area that's across from the Illinois National Guard. So having my other family house over there as well. So I know the feel and I know what the pinch is going to be tax-wise, but also not only our homeowners in our community, as such as Trustee Jones has said, how many of those students from those two areas? Because you do have an aging population, you know, that have stayed in this community from the time it started, you know, from the 1960s. My other concern is obviously our Village Square Mall. Those are small business owners as well as corporations, as well as our industrial park. And with the way competition is and the way Cook County taxes everybody compared to our collar counties, you know, I don't want to see businesses leaving or even small business owners going under. So I do have a lot of concerns. I definitely wish we would have seen this probably from the get-go if this presentation had come sooner in time, just because I think it impacts a lot more people than you really think. I mean, is there a business owner or one of our industrial people here right now? Do they even know what's going on? You know, I mean, we have to protect our residents and our source of income into this community so we can function as a village. You know, so I do have concerns. I'm just putting it out there, so.
Understandable.
I thank you for your time, and I think you guys put together a well-laid-out plan, but there's a lot of other questions that have to be addressed. That's it.
We do have one business owner. Hey, Stuart, so what are your taxes on your property, Stuart?
Oh, we do have a business owner.
Yeah,
Madam Mayor?
Stuart snuck in the back there. So what's the property taxes over there on your corner? Hey, we know that already. Yeah, well, he's here listening, obviously.
I mean, you've been in the community for how long? I mean, you're a
Forever.
long-time business owner, a small business
How many?
owner.
I know. So for you, what kind of impact do you think that would be to you? You have no idea?
Is this the first time you're hearing about this? Let me ask you that question. I'm sorry to speak out of order. Trustee
This is your
Jones,
first time
Madam
hearing about
Mayor.
it?
First time?
Okay.
Okay.
That's it. I'm sorry, Mayor.
So, thank you, Kamara, for coming and doing a presentation. The reason why I asked them to come to do the presentation, because I stand on transparency. And this impacts not only our residents, but it impacts our local business partners as well. And to be upfront and have a conversation just so that we can either support it or not support it, but we have to, in the village of Broadview, have to look at the big picture, how it impacts us, because we don't want businesses to leave because of the increase in taxes. And like Trustee Jones and Trustee Abraham said, Cook County is already taxing a lot of the businesses out of the county that impacts us. So we just hope that you all, I mean, it's already in play, but I did, I got this at the midnight hour last week as it relates, because what I was told, it was a facility plan conversation, and then the conversation came up that they were going for a $22 million referendum that I had no idea of. So I just like the leaders of Comaric School Board and the leaders in the administration just to be upfront with the village of Broadview so that we can have transparency and be upfront with our constituents and our business partners, because that's what we're here for, to protect their investments. So thank you for coming out.
No problem. And in case it wasn't said already, there are extra copies up on the stage for the members of the public if they want to grab them.
And we'll take them back with us just in case some from the, because we stream live. So if some residents or business partners are watching tonight, they're able to come to the village to pick up the literature. So thank you for bringing it. Mr. Clerk?
Thank you, Madam President. Next item on the agenda, item 5, consideration to approve the following minutes. Minutes from the February 4th, 2019 regular board meeting.
Motion to approve.
It's been properly motioned by Trustee Horn, seconded by Trustee Tierney. Madam President, open for discussion.
Trustee Ely? Trustee Tierney?
No comment.
Trustee Jones?
I have no comment.
Trustee Horn?
Nothing, thanks.
Trustee Abraham?
Because I wasn't in attendance, I'm going to abstain when we go to vote, Madam Mayor, so.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk?
Roll call. Trustee Ely?
Yes.
Trustee Tierney?
Yes.
Trustee Jones?
No.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Abraham?
Abstain.
And Trustee Brown Marino is absent. Madam President, this passes 3-0.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, 3-1.
Yeah, 3-1.
Next item on the agenda. Item 6, consideration to approve expenditures. Grand total of all funds, $510,196.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Trustee Ely?
No comment.
Trustee Tierney?
No question.
Trustee Jones?
Nothing.
Trustee Horn?
Nothing.
Trustee Abraham?
I don't have any, but would you like me to read the warrant list on
Yes,
the
please.
expenditures? Is that okay, Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Okay. I know it's a long vendor list, so here we go. Alfred Rowan, $4,000. I'm not sure how to pronounce this one. Altifer Industries Incorporated, $6,275. B&F Construction Code Service, $9,690. Baker Tilly Vercow Kraus LLC, $14,797.50. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois, $136,301.18. Cargill Incorporated, $29,532.29. Commonwealth Edison, $3,377.92. Cook County Department of Public Health, $2,600. Cook County Treasurer, $63,422.89. Delgado Law Group, LLC, $13,371.69. FGM Architects, $12,800. Fire Service Incorporated, $4,490.16. Geno's Heating and Plumbing Incorporated, $39,595. Grasso Graphics, $4,216.29. Groot Incorporated, $41,252.13. H&H Electric Company, $2,955.01. Interior Investments, LLC, $40,672.88. Lincoln National Life Insurance, $7,765.62. Mid-American Water is $2,918.92. Montana and Welch, LLC, $20,152.67. Newegg Business Incorporated, $2,983.40. Riley Construction, $3,371.18. Target Solutions Learning, LLC, $3,013.28. Timothy J. Hicks, CPA, $6,250. Triple Crown Products, $2,717.93. Our total expenditures over $2,500 is $478,522.94. Our grand total expenditures is $510,196.21 for a percentage of total of 94%.
Thank you, Trustee Abraham. Mr. Clerk, can we get a roll call, please?
Yeah, before we do that, Madam President, let the record reflect at 7:40, Trustees Jones and Abraham arrived to the meeting. We'll have a roll call. Trustee Ely?
Yes.
Trustee Tierney?
Yes.
Trustee Jones?
No.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Abraham?
Yes.
Trustee Brown Marino is absent. Madam President, this again carries 3-1.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, I'm sorry.
No, it's 4-1. Excuse me, right?
My counting is off tonight. 4-1, sorry. Next item on the agenda, item 7, committee reports. These reports are given at every first meeting of the month, starting with the Street, Sidewalks, and Alleys Committee. Trustee Horn.
Good evening, everyone. On February 25th, a committee meeting for street sidewalks and alleys was to take place. The committee members that sit on the committee with me did not show up, so a formal committee meeting could not commence. We had an informal conversation related to the items on the agenda, which goes over the budget, Braga Drive, some funded other projects, some requests from some businesses related to speed bumps, overall assessments of the street, sidewalks, and alleys, and the details of that conversation and that agenda is available to you if you would like to pick it up.
At the clerk's office.
At the clerk's office. But I do have copies here if they want to look.
Thank you, Trustee. Does that complete
That's
your
it,
report?
thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next is the Finance Committee. Trustee Abraham.
Yes, thank you. Welcome, everybody, and good evening. We will be having a Finance Committee meeting on March 6th here at 7 p.m. We have quite a few items on the agenda discussing different financials for the village year to date. As far as Village Hall updates, we'll give you a report on that. We also have information on a low interest rate loan application for infrastructure, bank accounts regarding for payroll, so different procedures just to keep it transparent and to keep everything equal and balanced. Also, we're going to have a presentation from UMI and Director, what do you call it, Matt, from Public Works, Matt Ames, couldn't get the name out, sorry, regarding the smart meter installation so that our residents in the community know how that's going to proceed. So other than that, please show up. Again, it's at 7 o'clock this Wednesday, and we do stream live. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Abraham. Next is the Business License Committee. Trustee Ely.
I have no report.
Thank you, sir. Next is Fire, Police, and Civil Service Committee. Trustee Tierney.
I've got a couple items for the fire department, but I'll go to the police first. Kevin, we've got some recruits getting ready for the training for SEP. Do we have any recruits ready for training yet? April, okay. Thank you. Okay, for the fire department, they have a spring home safety seminar April 6th, 9 o'clock. Inspector Anthony Monks will be out there teaching some of the residents some new things, close before you doze regarding doors. Proper appliance cleaning, tips, set up home escape plans. We also have the Neighborhood Watch that's associated with the police also in this program. So they'll be out there as well. Fire Explorers are sharing neighborhoods' concerns to keep everyone safe. They have a program set up. They will also be hosting a pancake breakfast the morning of. So be there April 6, 9 o'clock. Let's see what else we have. $10 for adults, $5 for kids for the pancake breakfast.
Trustee Tierney, is that for the Explorer?
Explorers. The Explorers are going to be there for the home one as well. So they hope to see you all at the firehouse, 2400 25th Avenue. Also, on June 27th to 28th, 2019, is going to be the second annual camp, We Can Too. This is a camp for girls ages 10 to 16. It's a 2-day camp, 9 to 3. Again, this is their second year. First year was pretty successful. So if anybody's interested, applications will be out April 15th. Correct, Chief? April 15th. Space is limited. Please contact Chris Murphy, Administrative Assistant to the Fire Chief, at 708-343-6124. Anything you'd like to add to that, Chief?
This isn't a fire camp. I'm sorry, this is just a camp for girls to learn about women in leadership.
Chief Kenny, can you come to the mic, please?
I apologize. This is a camp not about the fire service. There's a small portion of it, but this camp is for girls to learn about women in leadership. We chose 10 different jobs where women were the minority in the job and brought women in to talk about it. This year, we're going to bring in a different detail. For example, Chef Zoe, she's from a restaurant in the city. We're hoping she comes in, and then she's going to teach the kids an aspect of her job and cook something. So involve the girls hands-on with each one of these jobs. So that's it.
Second year. Good.
Thank you.
Before I close, I'd like to, last week, last board meeting, we had some concerns about the reports given from the department heads. And I think a couple of felt like they attacked the department heads, especially Tim Hicks. You came up and you did what you're supposed to, give us a report or questions for your report. Since then, I hope we can change some things and make it so we have somewhat of a summary during the meeting, maybe a 15-second, 30-second summary of each of the department heads' notes and reports. We as trustees aren't doing our job for giving all our reports either. There's only 3 trustees that are giving reports on a regular basis. The other 3 aren't doing it. So we need to take care of ourselves too to make you guys do your jobs as well. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk?
Yes, ma'am. Next item is Water, Drainage, and Health. That committee is vacant. Mayor, do we have anything for that?
No.
Next is Building and Public Property. That committee is also vacant at this time. Mayor?
Nothing.
All right, thank you. Next item is item 8, Old Business. A resolution, adoption of IDOT resolution concerning construction on state highways by the village or its agents.
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been properly motioned by Trustee Horn, seconded by Trustee Tierney. Madam President.
Thank you. The purpose of this resolution is to approve a resolution concerning construction on state highway by the village or its agents and obtaining permits for such construction. This resolution is required by IDOT. Trustee Ely?
Well, I'm assuming that this is the village giving Illinois Department of Transportation permission to do whatever they need to complete the expressway reconstruction.
Yes.
All right, that's it.
Trustee Tierney?
I don't have any questions.
Trustee Jones?
I have no question.
Trustee Horn?
Nothing.
Trustee Abraham?
None.
Can we get a roll call, please?
Roll call, Trustee Ely.
Yes.
Trustee Tierney.
Yes.
Trustee Jones.
Aye.
Trustee Horn.
Yes.
Trustee Abraham.
Yes.
Trustee Brown Marino is absent. Mayor, that carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is also Old Business B, a resolution adopting and approving an employee manual for the Village of Broadview, County of Cook, State of Illinois.
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been properly motioned by Trustee Horn, seconded by Trustee Tierney. Madam President.
Thank you. This has been long overdue for the Village of Broadview, and I just want to give a kudos to our village administrator, Letisa Jones, for putting in all the hard work to make sure that we had an employee handbook that all employees can follow. The purpose of this resolution is to adopt and approve a manual for the village. Trustee Ely.
No comments.
Trustee Tierney.
I did have a question regarding the sexual harassment. Is the village going to sponsor the training for the employees, or is it up to each department?
Thank you, trustees and Madam Mayor. Yes, we started the sexual harassment when we adopted the policy back in 2017, and all of the employees at that time went through the proper training for sexual harassment.
Okay, thank you.
And it's also listed in the handbook as well.
Okay, that's all I have.
Thank you. Trustee Jones?
He got the first one. The second one is there anything going to be included regarding nepotism?
Yes, it's in the.
Because I must have missed it. What section is it in?
Can I?
No, you just tell me later. I don't need it now,
Okay.
but I didn't see it. I'm sorry.
Okay.
That's it.
Thank you. Trustee Horn?
No questions, thank you.
Trustee Abraham?
None.
Thank you.
Mr. Clerk, can we get a roll call, please?
Yes, we can, Madam President. Trustee Ely.
Yes.
Trustee Tierney.
Yes.
Trustee Jones.
Aye.
Trustee Horn.
Yes.
Trustee Abraham.
Yes.
Trustee Marino is absent. Madam President, this carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Next item 9, new business. Item A, an ordinance authorizing and approving an amendment to an agreement with Safe Speed LLC.
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been properly motioned by Trustee Abraham and seconded by Trustee Tierney. Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. This has come back before us because when we reviewed Exhibit A, Safe Speed didn't clearly identify the locations of where the cameras would go. So that has been updated, So the purpose of this ordinance is to authorize and approve an amendment to the agreement with Safe Speed LLC. Trustee Ely?
I could not ever do this to my friends and neighbors here in the village of Broadview. That's my only comment.
Thank you. Trustee Tierney?
No comment.
Trustee Jones?
I have no comment.
Trustee Horn?
Nothing.
Trustee Abraham?
None.
Mr. Clerk, can we get a roll call, please?
Yes, you can, Madam President. Trustee Abraham.
Yes.
Trustee Horn.
Yes.
Trustee Jones.
Aye.
Trustee Tierney.
Yes.
Trustee Ely.
No, no, no.
And Trustee Marino is absent. Madam President, this carries 4-1.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, item B, an ordinance providing for the abatement of the 2018 tax levy for the general obligation bond, Series 2003A of the Village of Broadview, County of Cook, State of Illinois.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Was that Trustee Jones for the motion?
Aye.
Second by Trustee Horn. Madam President, thank you.
Thank you. The purpose of this ordinance is to abate the tax levy for the general obligation bond series 2003A. Section 18-20 of the Illinois Property Tax Code 35 ILCS 200/18 through 20 provides that if any taxing district receives funds under Section 12 of the State Revenue Sharing Act, and if the district determines that a surplus of funds exists, the taxing district shall adopt a resolution or ordinance reducing its tax levy for the applicable year. If a taxing district reduces its levy, the governing authority of the district shall certify its action to the county clerk of each county collecting those taxes. The county clerk shall abate the levy of the district in accordance with the provisions of the certified resolution or ordinance. Trustee Ely.
No comment.
Trustee Tierney.
No comment.
Trustee Jones.
No comment.
Trustee Horn.
Nothing.
Trustee Abraham.
None.
Mr. Clerk, can we get a roll call, please?
Yes, you can, Madam President. Trustee Ely.
Yes.
Trustee Tierney.
Yes.
Trustee Jones.
Aye.
Trustee Horn.
Yes.
Trustee Abraham.
Yes.
And Trustee Marino is absent. Madam President, this carries 5-0. And item C, just like item B, is an ordinance providing for the abatement of the 2018 tax levy for the general obligation bond, Series 2015A of the Village of Broadview, County of Cook, State of Illinois.
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been properly motioned by Trustee Tierney, seconded by Jones. Madam President.
The purpose of this ordinance is to abate the tax levy for general obligation bonds Series 2015A. The same section 1820 applies as what was read prior to. Trustee Ely.
No comment.
Trustee Tierney.
No comment.
Trustee Jones.
No comment.
Trustee Horn.
Nothing.
Trustee Abraham.
None.
Mr. Clerk, can we get a roll call?
Yes, you can, Madam President. Trustee Ely,
Yes.
Trustee Tierney,
Yes.
Trustee Jones,
Aye.
Trustee Horn,
Yes.
Trustee Abraham,
Yes.
Trustee Brown Marino is absent. Madam President, this too carries 5-0. Next item on the agenda, item D. Sorry about that. An ordinance of the Village of Broadview, County of Cook, State of Illinois, granting a variation to Chapter 9 of its zoning code regarding signs in the village's C2 General Commercial District, West Cermak Road.
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been properly motioned by Trustee Abraham, seconded by Jones. Madam President?
Thank you. This is to change the zoning for the Buddy Bear Car Wash signage. Trustee Ely.
I defer to our building commissioner to explain exactly what it is, this variance change is.
Commissioner Upshaw.
Good evening, Board, residents,
Good evening.
Mayor. On February 27th, 2019, a zoning board meeting was had to take a look at the signage, specifically at Buddy Bear. Buddy Bear, like McDonald's, Subway, and any other franchise business, has standard signing, but it was not compliant with our village code. Therefore, they sought a variance. The board had a meeting on the 27th, February 2019, and their recommendation was to approve that. Specifically, as it relates to the variance, it was to increase the number of wall sides from 1 to 3, and increased the maximum square footage, which was 100. Their maximum square footage was 109.
It's also electronic, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Tierney.
I have no comment.
Trustee Jones.
No comment.
Trustee Horn.
Nothing.
Trustee Abraham.
None.
Mr. Clerk.
Roll call. Trustee Ely,
Yes.
Trustee Tierney,
Yes.
Trustee Jones,
Aye.
Trustee Horn,
Yes.
Trustee Abraham,
Yes.
Trustee Brown Marino is absent. Madam President, this carries 5-0. Next item is item E, a resolution authorizing and approving an intergovernmental agreement by and between the Village of Broadview and the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District of Greater Chicago for the design, construction, operation, and maintenance of the 2019 Green Alley improvements in the Village of Broadview, State of Illinois.
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been properly motioned by Trustee Horn, seconded by Trustee Abraham. Madam President?
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. The purpose of this resolution is to authorize and approve an intergovernment agreement by and between the village and the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District of the Greater Chicago for the design, construction, operation, and maintenance of the 2019 Green Alley improvements. Trustee Ely.
No comments.
Trustee Tierney.
No comment.
Trustee Jones.
It's pretty self-explanatory, no comment.
Thank you. Trustee Horn.
Nothing.
Trustee Abraham.
None.
Mr. Clerk.
Roll call. Trustee Ely,
Yes.
Trustee Tierney,
Yes.
Trustee Jones,
Aye.
Trustee Horn,
Yes.
Trustee Abraham,
Yes.
Trustee Brown Marino is absent. Madam President, this carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Item F, we now have a presentation and approval of the audit for 2018 and 2019.
Thank you. Director Hicks.
Good evening, trustees and residents. Proud to announce that we have finally finished the fiscal 18 audit. We're going to cover in detail in the Finance Committee meeting, so I don't know how much detail we want to go in today, but the audit was completed. We were along the lines of where we anticipated we would be. When we look at the general fund, majority of the variances were in the fire and police department. The key drivers there was the pension contribution. We budgeted the minimum required contribution, which is what we are required by law to contribute, but we obviously contributed more than which the village has done in previous years, is what the actuarial accountants has asked that we contribute, and that's the amount that was contributed, which was significantly more than what the minimum requirement is because of the funding levels of the two pension funds. The only other department that had a significant variance was the Public Works Department, and that's all attributable to the maintenance costs of streets and sidewalks and alleys. Other than that, I don't know if there are any questions that specifically wanted to be answered today.
Trustee
Well, I'm accustomed, my years on the board, I'm accustomed to the auditors themselves giving us a report and providing us with the booklets. They busy, they couldn't make it. I was just surprised that you would be given the report of the audit. That's more of a comment. The other part is that earlier you stated that you went into a lot of detail in the Finance Committee meeting about the audit, what it did find, what it may have found. But from my years of being on the board, I'm of the opinion that committee meetings, it's not where I would get all the information I need to make a trustee as a decision as a trustee. That's what board meetings are for. State law requires that the mayor keep the trustee board informed, not a committee meeting, so I disagree with that. I didn't receive the electronic copy of the audit until I'm told it came in after 4 o'clock. I didn't see it till about 5:30, so I haven't had a chance to read it. I don't know that I'm prepared to approve this audit now because I haven't had a chance to read it. And the last thing is that in past years when I've received an audit report, it was several booklets. There was an engagement letter, the financial statements, and something else I can't remember. What we received was just the financial statements. Were there other booklets submitted by the auditor that's ultimately eventually going to wind up in the trustees' hands, or no? I want to see. Huh?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so all of those should be circulating. That's why I mentioned that we would go into more details in the Finance Committee meeting, which is scheduled on Wednesday. And this is all in the sake of timing.
Can't approve anything at a Finance Committee meeting, and I prefer to get mine.
We refer everything from the Finance Committee.
I beg your pardon?
We refer everything from the Finance Committee to the board.
Okay, well, I'll come in. Please put one, the engagement letter at least, put one aside for me. I'd like to read it, and then be up to date. Letter? Yeah, wouldn't there be a separate booklet?
Not the engagement letter. The engagement letter is what the auditors, is basically the contract between the village and
they usually have a summary.
So let me help you out, Trustee.
Identifying our weaknesses.
Trustee, let me help you out. You're looking for the management
after they found
discussion.
at the end of their audit report, they'll identify.
It's at the beginning. Yeah.
That's the management. That's the
management letter.
report.
Okay. Oh, wrong word. My bad. So I want to file for me. I'll come into the fire department and get it. Thank you. I'm done.
Trustee Tierney?
No comment.
Trustee Jones?
Couple of things. Since the audit is already laid, the timing issue is not that big of a deal as far as I'm concerned. I know there's no financial repercussions for that. But I would like to have the auditors come in to give the presentation because they were the ones that conducted the audit. And I don't think that it's appropriate for you to be giving the information on the audit since you're the one that was being audited. You're the finance director. Your numbers are the numbers that were being audited. I think that for transparency's sake and for us to be able to get specific questions answered by the actual people that did the audit, they should come on out and explain how they audited, what their findings were, and answer the trustees' questions. Nothing against you personally in this particular case, sir. With all due respect, I just think that the auditors should come and explain their audit. It's their audit, it's their work. They should be the ones standing in front of me that I can ask the questions to, So that's my 2 cents because I'm not prepared to vote on an audit right now without having a conversation with the auditors to get their findings. That's it, Madam President.
Thank you. Trustee Horn?
I can appreciate the other comments, and so if that's their position, then I will support it, but I will go on record saying that I did get the report. It did come in at 3:50 p.m. It was enough time for me to read through the entire report, and I did, and there is a particular paragraph within here that I thought was interesting. It says opinions. In our opinion, this is the auditor speaking. In our opinion,
The auditor should come do the presentation.
I'm sure, so is it a problem with me reading it, or?
No, you can still read it, but I'm just.
Okay, so in our opinion, this is the auditor speaking. Based on our audit and the report of other auditors, the financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material respects. The respective financial position of the governmental activities, the business type activities, each major fund, and the aggregate remaining fund information of the Village of Broadview, Illinois, as of April 30th, 2018, and the respective changes in financial position and, where applicable, cash flows thereof for the year then ended in accordance with accounting principles generally accepted in the United States of America.
Do you know what that means?
Yes, I do, absolutely. I have an MBA in finance and understand completely. I have an MBA in finance, and I understand financial statements, numbers,
Trustee
and the
Horn.
language that's within the document.
Trustee Horn,
Do
let's,
you have one? Do you understand what
Absolutely.
do you understand it? Did you get a chance to read it?
No, I
Oh,
just
that's what I
glanced at
thought.
it.
okay. Trustee
Don't
Horn,
challenge my education or what I know.
Trustee Horn, are you?
I am done. Thank you.
Trustee Abraham?
Nothing other than, yes, I did receive it at 3:50 p.m. And the opinion that she's reading from the auditors is on page 2 of the document. So if anybody had a chance to read it, that's where she got that from. So that is an accurate statement and opinion from them. You know, if my fellow trustees, and I have to respect them because it is the village finances, Madam Mayor, and they're not comfortable, that's fine. I mean, you know, we could get them back out here if they want to, you know, talk about their audit, that's fine. You know, we don't have to do anything. I'll support what, you know, the rest of my fellow trustees want to do.
And that's fair.
Perfectly understand that.
Yep, I got it.
Fair's fair.
Madam President? and
Yes,
Mayor,
Trustee Jones.
You know, I just want to make sure that, and Trustee Horn walked out, it wasn't the actual reading of the opinion that I was talking about. Yeah, it was the fact that they need to be in front of us so that we can have an open discussion about the entire audit as a whole and what they did and what they ran into or what their findings were. And because when they come, just so that everybody knows, and you've been here through this before, you have. And so have you, Trustee
Exactly.
Abraham.
They're going to talk about
and
the highlights.
they're going to talk about
a
a lot of different things, but more importantly, they get to give an external view of our internal operation. They get to give their opinion and their assessment on what their findings were and where we're going and how we're trending and so on and so forth. And they're actually evaluating the finance department and the actual village money. But it wasn't, they don't specifically stand there and just read, you know, they'll talk about it, you know, in their own way, you know, based on what their work was. So I don't want to belabor the issue. We'll be here. We can talk about this all night. I would just respectfully ask that we table this until such time that the mayor can get them scheduled to come before us. So the motion is to table this until the mayor can give us a date certain when they can come out and be before us.
Second.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Jones, for your motion. Trustee Cheney for your second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Hearing no opposition, this will be tabled till the next meeting, March.
Pending, because we don't know the schedule.
Pending until she gets the schedule.
For the record.
A date certain.
Exactly. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
I did say right?
Yeah.
Okay, I just. Yeah, right.
Thank you. Next item, item 10. Applications for the authority to expend funds totaling $10,392. And this will be for CDS Office Technologies.
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been properly motioned by Trustee Jones, seconded by Trustee Tierney. Madam President?
Trustee Ely?
Well, I'm going to defer to the chief to tell us what this is, why we need it.
These are the laptops for the in-car squads. I'm sorry, the in-car computers. We're trying to update two a year to try to keep up with the times. What we're looking to do is get what's called e-ticketing soon, where we don't have to carry the ticket books anymore. It's all gonna be on the computers.
And it's 2 of them.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay, trustee Tierney?
No comment.
Trustee Jones?
I have no comment.
Trustee
She
Horn?
said.
Nothing.
Trustee Abraham?
None.
Mr. Clerk?
Roll call, trustee Ely. Is that a yes? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Trustee Tierney.
Yes.
Trustee Jones.
Aye.
Trustee Horn.
Yes.
Trustee Abraham.
Yes.
Trustee Brown Marino is absent. Madam President, this carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is the village clerk's report. I didn't have much. I just wanted to remind everyone that April 2nd is the election coming up for the suburban Cook County, and that early voting starts on March 18th. Don't want to talk a lot about elections at this meeting, but you can get that information on the Cook County Clerk's website, as well as mail-in ballot applications. Madam President, that completes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk.
Next is the President, item 12, Mayor Katrina Thompson.
Good evening, everyone. I just have a quick few announcements, some reminders. So Sunday is Spring Forward, March 10th, so make sure you forward your clocks forward. We're one day closer to a little bit warmer weather. Vehicle stickers go on sale March 15th. And then Comaric is having their financial open house on March 18th from 4 to 7. Most of our residents are probably closer to Comaric School, so can you tell me the address? Yeah, 8940 West 24th Street in North Riverside. And there will be a building tour on March 14th at 7 p.m.? Thank you. So thank you all for coming out. Good night and God bless you.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
It's been properly motioned by trustee Jones, seconded by trustee, was that Tierney?
Yep.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Hearing no opposition, we are hereby adjourned at 8:45 p.m.